Chapter 594. We learn the lore of the Ox Lloyd Bell. Lieutenant Brand states that Luffy rang the bell 16 times. And to sound the bell 16 times is a declaration of war, according to the Marines. Well, we learn also from Killer a completely different reason that the Ox Lloyd Bell is important. Apparently 16 times is what you need to usher in a new era. This discrepancy is incredibly important for two reasons. The first reason being that this is the only time that a named ancient battleship has been mentioned in the entire story of One Piece. So I really do think that this ship, the Ox Royce, is going to make its reintroduction at some point in time in the series. The second reason breaks off into 2 points that are incredibly important for this video. Point 2A is a question. How does Killer know more about this ship than the Marines? And 2, where did he learn it from? Now this is where we talk about the man with the burn scar. The first time that the man with the burn scar was ever brought up was from the mouth of Eustace Captain Kidd after the Big Mom W. And then the man with the burn scar was brought up again when the Blackbeard pirates were talking about possibly getting the Fourth Road Poneglyph, and Shiryu brings up the connection of him possibly being a Marine, which leaves only a few candidates to be the actual man with the burn scar. My pick is Jaguar D. Saul, former Vice Admiral of the Marines and friend to lost children everywhere. Both the Kid Pirates and Saul come from the South Blue, so there may be a connection in their youth, where Jaguar D. Saul was telling stories and taking care of children in a random South Blue country. And this is how the Kid Pirates learned the lore of the Ox Royce Bell. And Saul's alignment from the Marines being completely different from their form of justice that they were following could have been the reason why the lore is so different between Lieutenant Brand explanation and Killer's explanation. Where was I going with this? Oh, right. Killer is a three-eyed tribe, Saul is the burned man, and Shanks is a snitch. But let's look at Kid a bit more, because the connection to Saul exists within the timeline of One Piece as well. We know the Buster Call of Ohara was conducted 24 years ago, and we know thanks to Shaka on Egghead that Saul returned to Ohara with the giant warrior pirates to retrieve the books and research. Kid is 23 years old with a base in the New World. Let me refresh you on Kid's backstory from the Volume 104 SBS. Kid, Killer, Heat, and Wire were born in a certain island in the South Blue unaffiliated with the world government, which was ruled by a criminal gang that acted as its royalty. The island was subdivided into 4 districts, which each had its own criminal gang led by Kid, Killer, Heat, and Wire, with conflicts arising on a daily basis. In spite of that, Kid and Killer had been childhood friends since they were young. At some point, Kid and Killer became close friends with a girl named Victoria Shirton Doroyanaika. However, one day Victoria was killed by the gang ruling the country. This drove Kid so mad that he united the 4 gangs from the 4 districts and led a coup alongside Killer, Heat, and Wire to take down the criminal gang from power, overthrowing the current rule. After that event, Kid told the others that he didn't want to live in such a confined world, so he formed a pirate crew with the 4 of them and set out to sea, naming their ship the Victoria Punk in Victoria's name. This lawless gang could be affiliated with the Red Hair Pirates. We see in chapter 1079, Shanks reading files given to him by Hongo. This could be a newspaper, or it could be paperwork on the extension of the red-haired Grand Fleet. I think the reason Kid is so dead set on becoming a Yonko that defeated Shanks is because the Red Hair Pirates were responsible for the death of Victoria, the childhood sweetheart of Kid and Killer. Rotating back to Saul, Saul is a character driven by certain justice that hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's safe to say that he has convictions that he's willing to stake his life over. Shanks and Saul may know of each other through the events of Kid's backstory, but this would be a good lesson for Shanks to learn. You need to be responsible for the people waving your flag. Shanks is a character who has been introduced as a notorious pirate, collecting a bounty of over 1 billion since the very first chapter of One Piece. We know that Shanks became a Yonko during the 10 years Luffy was training in the East Blue. Compared to the other Yonko, however, Shanks rules completely free from responsibility. Both Big Mom and Kaido ruled over nations with iron fists. Whitebeard still had his code of conduct and ruled as a father figure, but Shanks is only ever in charge when he's there. We know people wave Shanks' flags, but we don't know who these people are. Some of them are pirates too weak to sail the seas of the Grand Line. Some of them are civilians. But the key thing here is that these are friends of Shanks, and we know some of these friends can be pirates, or maybe even bandits. If this is true, then that would mean that the civilians being crucified from chapter 594 would have been waving Shanks' flag as a part of his protected fleet in Kid's way to take Shanks' head. Let's pivot to the Kuma theory I had, even though it was debunked thanks to the best backstory in all of One Piece. St. J. Garcia Saturn says something interesting about the Buccaneers, that they were slaves and deserved no better treatment. But what if I told you their role in the Ancient Kingdom was foreshadowed by this Mad's cover story, and one character in particular? Judge made his clones in test tubes after cracking the lineage factor with Vegapunk. This was said to be stepping into the realm of godhood. What if Buccaneers are like the Judge clones mixed with the Automata on the moon? The Judge clones all serve Germa with an undying conviction rooted from their lack of emotion. We see the Automata with a range of emotions during Anel's cover story. The Buccaneers are genetically produced super soldiers, allowed human rights due to the progressiveness of the Ancient Kingdom. The natural and artificial united as one, and that's why there's so much animosity towards where the Buccaneers came from and who they are. Imagine your toaster one day marrying your cousin. I'd imagine some people being upset with that. But allow me to expand on that in a future video. The scarcity of certain races like the Three-Eyed Tribe is a byproduct of the ethnic cleansing from the Void Century. Let me know if you're interested in a full Void Century video by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. But let's focus on why you clicked on this video. Kid has a member that can read poneglyphs on his crew, being Killer. Killer's first instinct when looking at the road poneglyph rubbings from Wano was to get help from the man with the burned scar. If Kid and Killer knew that they'd need that person's help, then why wait until all 3 poneglyph rubbings were gathered? The simple answer would be to translate them, but then that would mean that the man marked by flames can read poneglyphs, which could be the case. But if they have no leads, as Kid states, then how would they know? Unless they already previously knew this character. The complex answer that I'm proposing is that Killer has been reading poneglyphs since the Kid Pirates set sail, and they also know the importance of the red poneglyphs thanks to Killer's reading of them. That's why when they got the Whole Cake Island poneglyph, their first instinct was to build an alliance towards Shanks instead of looking for the man marked by flames. And if the man marked by flames is Jaguar D. Saul, then that would mean that they are currently looking for help from Jaguar D. Saul and the rest of the giant pirates to get the One Piece and become Pirate King. The Kid and Shanks connection I brought up was merely to explain Kid's drive to become a Yonko. Why does he want to become free? Why does he want to free himself from this confined world? Why does he want to become Pirate King? It's for Victoria and her memory. If I'm right about Shanks' neglect to rule over his fleet, then that would mean that Kid has lost Victoria twice. And now he's in the same situation that Luffy was in when Luffy lost all of his friends during the Sabaody Archipelago arc.